party.
Hello everybody, welcome to yet another episode of Be a Man. Here we are. What a special time. What a time to be alive. It's a few days after Thanksgiving. More like thank goodness that's over. Thanksgiving is nice. What is it nice for? It's food. You get to be around people. You know, I guess there's good and bad. To that, there are some drawbacks there. Do I need to go into them? Do I need to describe the ins and outs of the family dynamic? I'm not sure. To any of you out there who do not have a family, family is where you go to hear things that no one else will tell you, and where you go to tell things that no one else will tell them. Family is where you go to feel feelings you don't ever want to feel, that you have been feeling your whole life, and that you wish would stop. Family is where you can run out of things to say, but you have nothing else to do, so you just kind of hang around. Family is where your mom and your aunts get involved in trying to set you up with people and you never asked. Family, marriage, marriage. Family is the place we go when we really want to just talk behind someone's back because they're just acting ridiculously and they just can't help themselves because that's who they are. But we love them anyway, in a special way. Love is one of those feelings. How do I describe love to anyone who isn't experiencing love currently? Love is something you can never choose or do anything about. It's just something that happens to you and you have to deal with it and all the consequences of it, and it makes you do really terrible things and feel really terrible things. It's also nice, and if it's going really well, then it's very safe. There is a safety there, even when love is bad. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to describe the nuances of love, and I don't think I'm describing love. I don't know what's going on. I need to shave. This is perhaps the first episode I will actually record and upload to our YouTube page on video. So I might reference things like the super cool hat I'm wearing. I look really cool and just relaxed and chill. It's cool, late fall, early winter kind of vibe. Just sitting in my sweats. Just happen to be the perfect colors that go well with my eyes. No big deal. And I might reference that kind of thing, and you'll just have to check out the video on YouTube, on our page Be a Man Pod, to see the goodness that is this. End of sentence. I hope everyone had a good holiday. Thanksgiving has meant less and less to me as I've gotten older. It was kind of a big obligation when I was a kid. I never felt a kinship with Thanksgiving. It felt like a big, stuffy kind of holiday. I liked that there was no religious aspect to it, so I liked that I didn't have to go to church or there wasn't any of that sort of thing around it. Didn't like going to church, and the food was great. I think when I was younger, I liked Thanksgiving a lot. But as I've gotten older and as I've turned more vegan, there's been less to look forward to. And I think perhaps, I don't know if you agree with me, but as you get older, family frustrates you in different ways than when you were a kid. I had no alternative when I was a kid. I just had to be, I was with my family. That's who we were. We were just with each other all the time. That's what we did. We went places together. They were my rides, and I was their dependent They were legally obligated to take care of me, and or face jail. So like we kind of had to be together, but now we don't really have to be together. And it's even to the point where I might get asked, "Are you coming home are you going to come up, to be with us for the holiday?" And now the last few years I've been like, I can do that. I don't have to go. I can't think of anything else I do, so I go. I also like seeing my family and all that stuff, but it's as you get older, you start to think I have other options. I can do other things. I don't have to be with my family all the time. It's just cool to know that you can do other stuff. I still think I'd want to be with my family. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't have to go really into it. I think we all probably have varying degrees of weird relationships with our family. When times are good, they're really good. When times are bad, they're like the most frustrating, deafeningly, frustrating times. Words are failing me to describe the dynamic of family. But I don't even really want to talk about that. I think I wanted to talk about maybe bullying. That seems like something I could talk about. Everyone who was bullied when they were younger or gets bullied today, raise your hand. You don't have to raise your hand. That looks stupid by yourself. Don't do that. You can go, mm-hmm. You can nod your head and go, mm-hmm. And someone at work or wherever might look over at you and be like, yep. Oh yeah, they listen to something good. They listen to something they agree with. Hey, what is that? They go, be a man. You go, what's that? You go, it's a great show that just really gets me. And we started a movement. So do the mm-hmm, if that resonates with you. Yeah. I don't know why I want to talk about bullying right now. It's just on my list of ideas to talk about, and it seemed like one I could tackle by myself. Bullying. I think in the therapy episode with Christian, I talked about being weird in school and growing up in a pretty homogenous town, homogenous sort of society in southeastern Massachusetts, and I was referred to as weird by a number of people throughout my whole childhood, and I thought it was kind of cool, but it also confused me. Like, well, am I really that weird? I don't think I'm that weird. And it's that kind of idea that even while I'm embracing it, I know that it's different, and that difference is making me uncomfortable because I don't really have context for it, I guess. And when you see someone being themselves and being really authentic, that's really cool to see. That's just so beautiful to see someone just being themselves and being an individual and like being gregarious, being loud, being shy, dancing, having really unique outfits, whatever their way of expressing themselves. If you can really get a sense someone's being true to who they are, it's so refreshing to see that. And the people I look up to and looked up to back in the day, trying to think, I don't know, who did I look up to? I probably looked up to a lot of athletes back in the day. Manny Ramirez of the Boston Red Sox, Pedro Martinez, Scott Stapp of Creed, looked up to him. Rob these, the people we look up to in our lives, they seem to have this energy, and also our parents and other friends and stuff. But these people carry this energy that seems like it's bigger than anything we could encapsulate, that we could ever do. So we admire them for it. And I think we just assume, like, I'm so glad they're here because I could never do that. And it's just a tale we tell ourselves to keep us where we are, keep us comfortable, because the unknown is always going to make us nervous and, keep us afraid of branching out, being bigger than we currently are, or trying things that really interest us, because I guess there's so much to lose when we actually do the things we want to do and act the way we want to act and be the way we want to be. So it's nice to see people doing that. And I've always felt that way. I've always felt like there are so many people doing life the way I want to do life, and I could never be that unique. I could never let go that much to do that. But I still felt like I was a very small, I didn't take a ton of risks back in the day, but I would go for jokes, and I would put myself out there in different ways, I guess, in sports and through artwork and, talking to girls. I don't know how else you put yourself out there as a kid, but I still feel like I lived a very sheltered, normal life for a kid growing up in southeastern Massachusetts, and I was still bullied for being weird and being different. And I don't really know exactly how all that affected me, really. I can tell you that I still resent some people for things they said to me and the way they treated me in groups or in public or whatever. And now I guess I don't really hold it against them. Not them as they are now, but I hold it against who they were. And I don't really know what the fuck that means. Like if I saw these people today, I think there would be some resentment, actually. If I saw these people today who are calling me like weird and just bullying me, teasing me and my friends, making fun of people in my life, I don't really know if I don't know how I'd feel, really. I think I would be still a little angry. But I'm not close with these people, so the interaction really wouldn't matter, and it's not like I was tortured or anything. I think people have been bullied way worse than I was, but a weird thing that I embraced as a kid, I'm still surprised to this day that I embraced it, was when I was 12 years old, Jay Fink shouted out while I was at summer baseball tryouts this summer before I went into 6th or 7th grade or something, and I think before 7th grade. Yeah. And so we're at the baseball tryouts that summer when I was 12. And I'm wearing like long knee-high socks, and I got my pants rolled up to my knee because that was a cool look back then. And this is before all the baseball players wore the pants down to their shoes. And Jay Fink yells out, "He's got cankles!" And everyone started laughing. I think cankles is a funny word, or maybe people just picked up that I had thick legs or something. And so from that day on, people called me Cankles. Like, I think for a while, people would just call me Cankles. They'd refer to my cankles. They'd make jokes about cankles. So for years, I thought I had cankles. I didn't really know what cankles were. I guess they're just like when your calf goes straight into your ankle and there's no tapering, there's no movement of the way the calf like gently flows into a narrow and delightful little dainty ankle or whatever. And I didn't know. I didn't ever worry about my legs. I thought I had strong legs. I was big for my age. I was like, yeah, my legs are fucking sweet. Although I do remember when I was 10, I ran the turkey trot, and I just assumed that by running the turkey trot, it was a 4-mile race. After the race, I would have jacked calves. Like I expected my muscles to be bulging after I ran the 4-mile race. So after that race, I remember looking down at my legs and wondering why they weren't any bigger. And I thought maybe they're just only a little bit bigger, maybe I can't tell. And all that happened was that I couldn't walk for the next 2 days. I remember walking down this ramp a day or two later, and I couldn't bend my knees, so I just kind of just kept stumbling all the way to the end, and I almost tipped over because I couldn't stop. I think that's the only time I ever thought about my calves. I don't know why that was so important to me at the time when I was 10. So cut back to when I'm 12, and he says I have cankles. I don't know what was going on. I think at the time I was like a little confused at the name and why that was really resonating with everyone, because I didn't think that I qualified as having cankles. But it resonated with everyone. They thought it was funny, so I don't know exactly the trajectory of it, but I think I just decided to embrace it. So to the point where that school year, I'm on a basketball team and we're getting sweatshirts made with our names on the arm. And this is like October or November that year, so really just a few months later. And cankles is such a big thing that I consider having cankles written on my arm, like embroidered on the arm. And I ask a bunch of people about it. I'm like, what do you think? Should I do it? Like, is that cool? Is that my name? And I think at that point everyone was like, I mean, yeah, I guess that would be cool, go for it. But might have been my parents who were like, I don't know if you should put cankles embroidered on your arm. I don't know if that's the direction we're going to take this here. So I said, okay, I'll meet you halfway. I'll just make an AOL screen name called Cankles 101. And that was my screen name for years. And what I will say is that I don't think anyone really ever mentioned my cankles after that. I think I give myself a ton of credit. I just totally took it on and made it my name and made it my fucking screen name and went on with my life and lived for years thinking I had cankles. Okay, this was also bolstered by the fact that I think it was that year in 7th grade, going to basketball tryouts, there's this big husky football player dude. He's like such a jolly guy, but I remember him, he's just like big and thick. And I remember him looking at me with shorts on playing basketball, and he was like, what did he say? He said, hey, nice ankles. Eat buffalo wings much? Or something like that. He said something about buffalo wings, or lay off the buffalo wings or whatever, thinking that I had fat legs. And I was like, is this real? What is going on with my legs that I don't know about? And I mean, looking at this guy, he had thick legs of his own, so it's all weird. Maybe he had heard of the nickname and that was just him getting in between my ribs or whatever. Strange. What did help is that years later, I remember talking to a friend on the bus, And this is an example of cutting down someone else to lift yourself up. I didn't do it, okay, someone else did, but they cut them down for me, and it raised me up, and it felt pretty good, I gotta say. But I was telling them about I think maybe we had just become AOL friends or something, and I said, oh yeah, she was like, what's your AOL name? And I was like, oh, it's Cankles 101. She's like, why Cankles? And I'm like, well, because I have cankles. She said, no, you do not have cankles. You see those? And she points to this woman with very big legs, this girl at the time. She was a girl, we were children. And she said, those are cankles. And, you know, her like legs are thicker than her feet. And I was like, oh, well, that's okay. That's mean, but I'll take it. And I guess that's how I really learned what cankles are. I don't know. I generally still have big ankles anyway. It's kind of a trait in my family, I guess. I got sturdy ankles. I've broken my foot once, and I've maybe only had 1 or 2 twisted ankles my whole life. So I'm proud of my thick, sturdy ankles. Whatever. So, I mean, that's one way in which I think I handled bullying well. But I just remember, like, you know, the days I got bullying the hardest was on the bus. The bus was a bullying torture device. Oh my gosh. It's just like kids standing on the seats, shouting things down at you. They're forming groups, and you have like your bus friends, and then you have your school friends. So the friends you have on the bus you might not even talk to in the school, but you get on the bus, you're like, hey, let's sit together and just like talk shit and throw things at people, and you gotta take the bus. It's the only way home. So it's just a place for people to, like, they got you trapped, and there's no chaperone because the bus driver can only do so much, you know, and they're only getting paid so much. Like, they just want to get by and drop you the fuck off and go home and have a Coors Light or some shit. Like, they're sick of it, you know. So it's the perfect place to get some bullying done. And I remember there was a couple of years there where there was like various people on my bus who would pick on me and my friend played the saxophone, and I remember they were saying all sorts of stuff. My friend had a mustache, and they made fun of his mustache, and we were in 7th and 8th grade and stuff, so I guess that was a little peculiar, and it was peculiar to have a mustache and that young, you know. Most kids hadn't even grown hair anywhere, and they're making fun of his mustache, and he's like a musical genius, and he's just like a really polite, sweet guy. He's not gonna fight back and stuff, and like they're just really just being a bunch of jerks, picking on this guy of all guys because he's just the nicest, best guy, and such a positive, happy person, and they're calling him all sorts of names. And I remember this one time in particular. He was always carrying a saxophone around, and one day they started calling his saxophone a sexophone. You gonna play your saxophone? Yeah? How does it feel to play your saxophone? And for some reason this just really got under my skin, and I thought it was maybe inappropriate. I don't know why it got under my skin, but it was also a buildup of a lot of torment from these people. And the biggest bummer about getting bullied is that it's never from the coolest people. I don't know if this is your experience, but in my experience, it's never the coolest people. It's always like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th tier of people. Like, people who are often less cool than you are bullying you. But if you're like me and my friends, like, we had no understanding of where we stood in the pecking order. If we wanted to, we could have talked back and been like, you know what, bitch, shut the fuck up. You stink and you're ugly and you have no skills. Go away. But we had no understanding. We just figured if we're getting bullied, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter who's doing it. It's the fact that we're getting bullied and we're nice kids. We don't want to fight back. We don't know how, really. And like this one guy, Phil, was like a hipster poser skater dude dweeb, and he was one of the most annoying people ever. And he's the one that came up with the saxophone, and I ran home and told my dad and my sister, and I don't think they really knew what to do with that one. They're like, oh, well, sucks. I don't even know what their response is. I just remember that one in particular being like, is that offensive? Or, I think we were all just getting the sense that I was pretty sick of it in general. I didn't want to be dealing with these people anymore. And yeah, I doled out some bullying myself. I forget how much we talked about it with my brother on our episode. Is I believe the first episode of this podcast. We talked about our relationship, but I bullied my brother all the time. I would get him to do things. I remember when he was very young, I would get him to do things for me by telling him that I was going to make him big and strong. And I remember that worked for him. That worked on him a lot. Like, don't you want to be big and strong? Help me carry this up, or like, go do this for me. And he'd be like, yeah. And then he'd be all pumped up to do the thing because it was going to make him big and strong because he was like 4. And then I remember there was a certain age where that started not resonating with him. I think he was wising up to it. And either he was wising up or being big and strong no longer was his priority. I think he was on to other things. He was on to like reading books, working with numbers, musical charts. Either way, he was picking up on the scent. And that's when that tactic didn't work anymore. But I found other ways to bully him. I think with my brother especially, I always had a really hard time with him following in my footsteps, and like I couldn't appreciate at the time when he would copy things that I would do. I couldn't appreciate that at the time for being like a really wonderful compliment. I just took it as like he's trying to steal my thunder, and I think for whatever reason there was a lot going on there for me that was a matter of having space issues and not feeling like I had enough space and not enough, room for myself. Nothing that was really my own. And if you think about it, as the second child, I'm living kind of, my sister was always so good at everything and didn't really make mistakes, and then I'm this kind of wild child who's making a lot of mistakes and can't listen well and is not doing as well in school as my sister, doing well in other ways, but not. I was a pretty different kid than my sister, and then this younger kid comes along and he's taking all my clothes, and we sleep together in the same room, and we have a bunk bed, and we're sharing a lot of things, and a lot of the time when our family would go shopping for us, we'd get the same shirts just in different sizes, and I'm sure there's other stuff too, and something I'm still trying to dig into, really, like why I had these issues with space. But I did feel pretty claustrophobic. I remember also there were years where I'd be sleeping on the top bunk in our bunk bed, and I guess it was kind of close to the ceiling, but there was years there where I would say that I couldn't breathe. It was too dusty. I was convinced it was too dusty. I think it was really just like I didn't like being relegated up there. Maybe it felt alone. Maybe it felt lonely, or I don't really know what. I'm still digging into that one. But I do know that, through various little stories and memories from my childhood, that I had issues with space. I still do in a lot of my relationships. I think we did touch on that in the therapy episode with Christian. Talked about how I really need space in all my intimate relationships. Family, friends, lovers, whatever it is, I really value space. And really the more space I have, the more I feel like I am able to give in the relationship. So the relationships in my life where I haven't had space, I often become like very overcrowded and very resentful of the other people. I don't know how far back that goes, but I think in considering my relationship with my siblings when I was younger, I feel like I struggled in being close with them. We got along in a lot of ways, but I think in terms of, still to this day, really in terms of like being intimate and, showing the people closest to me how much I really care about them, that's among my biggest struggles. And I think it's a matter of, I think there's a lot of things going on there, but I think one of those is space. And if you're extra close to me and like I really rely on you and you matter a lot to me, it's that extra closeness, I think is just a challenge for me in general to manage and deal with, and communicate with, yeah, man, I can go really personal on some of these podcasts. I'm still really shaky on how I feel about actually doing that, but I just kind of keep doing it. Yeah, I think part of me is really bummed out that I've shared so much of my personal life, but it's out there. Can't take it back. I could delete everything and hope you just all forget, but I think part of me trusts that this is going somewhere, that this is important, so I'll just keep sharing stuff, I guess. I'm not telling you all the details, but I'm telling you a good amount. Bullying, yeah, and I mean, I bullied my sister too. My sister is older than me. She's always been bigger than me. To this day, she's bigger than me. She's like got 2+ inches on me, and I would still bully her. We get into physical fights. But I gotta say, when I was younger especially, she was like extra bigger than me, and there were a couple years there where she had like 4 or 5 inches on me, and she was a good athlete, and I feel like I could get a lick in or two, and it was okay. Punch her on the arm or whatever. I don't think it was really okay. I remember giving her a bruise and her playing basketball and in the high school and seeing a big bruise on her arm, but sorry about that. But I didn't really hit her that often, I don't think. But yeah, I don't know. Especially when you're a kid, I feel like that's how you kind of figure out how to boss people around. That's when you're the most manipulative, is when you're interacting with your siblings, trying to get them to do shit for you. But having siblings also teaches you other things, like how to play and how to chew gum and do cartwheels and play card games and how to repress deep, intimate feelings of love and care. Yeah, that's my experience with siblings. And did I bully anyone outside of my family? Probably. There was a kid on our college baseball team. He had like 6 different names. We called him all sorts of names. But like they were based on his name. They weren't like Jerkface or anything. It was like, his name is Mick, and we called him Mike, Mac, Mock, that sort of thing. We'd always like play games with his name. And he was like the tool, He was kind of a jerk and would invite a lot of different people to our baseball parties, and they drink our beer, and no one else would drink our beer, no one else would invite people to these parties, and he was the only one inviting people. So that, we had limited funds. We're a pretty poor club, and I think just the whole package. He wasn't good at baseball. He was kind of a tool. he would say things that were like annoying, and he didn't really smile or laugh, and his sense of humor was weird, and he was weird, man. And he had cankles too. And for the largest part, we tolerated him. He showed up consistently, and he's the kind of person that, like, when you're in a good mood, you're nice, and everyone's nice, everyone's smiling, but then, like, he makes a comment, or we make a comment, and by we I mean the entire rest of the baseball team, and really great group of guys. I'm not just saying that. Real sweeties. This is club baseball. This is not Division I NCAA baseball. This is the guys who just love the game, mostly nerds, mostly kids who couldn't make any team in high school, or didn't even try out. Some kids didn't even try out in high school, and they just loved the game. They wanted to get into a club, and they just show up. And it's really just some of the loveliest people I ever met at college. And then this jamoke shows up, and he's bringing his weird friends, and they're doing weird stuff and drinking our beer. So yeah, we might have bullied him a couple times. I think there was a party that we had my senior year, and we gave him the wrong address. And then he catches up with us later in the night, just running into us, and we're like, oh shit, we gave you the wrong address. And he knew right away, you fucking guys gave us the wrong address for the party. And so, la-di-da, the night goes on. I go into my dorm room, and I look at about to hop on the old bed, and there's nothing there. There's a bed frame, and there's nothing else. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. Where would my mattress be? And I go into the restroom and go to take a tinkle. I look in one of the bathroom stalls, and there's my mattress, vertical in one of the stalls. And apparently I'd left my dorm room open, not a good idea. And I took the mattress, thought it was fucking hilarious because, like, did not see that coming. Took the mattress back, put it on my bed, and didn't say anything to him, but the next time I saw them, they gave me this look like, huh? And I was like, okay, respect. Respect to you, sirs. Well done. I foisted my own petard. No, you foisted me with my petard. I don't know. I was a jerk, and you got me back. Right, and I don't feel so bad for other times I was rude to you. That was small fry sort of bullying, it was like a kind of a give and take there, bit of a rivalry, I'd almost call it. And he could just kind of tell that no one really liked him, and he'd just show up regardless, and then he'd be kind of like the antagonist of the team. Fucking Mick. It's not his name, but it's close. I don't know. I'm trying to drum up ideas of when I bullied people, just to be fair here. But bullied my siblings. Yeah. I got bullied. I think one of the worst times I ever got bullied was in 5th grade. I got bullied by this guy TJ, and in 5th grade, I'm 11, and I'm already like 5'6". Like I'm on. I think 11 or 12 is when I started going through puberty. 11 might have been like pre-puberty, like just on the cusp. I was already kind of a bigger kid. And I remember in 4th grade, I was 4'10". And in 5th grade, I must have been like 5'3". And then in 8th grade, I was full size, like 6 feet, 5'11" and 5'8", okay? And let's just go with 6 feet, please. Just give me it. It's really close. We've already gone over this, why I think it should just be called 6 feet. With socks, with shoes, I'm well over 6 feet, okay? Hats. So, I'm already a big kid, and I'm 11 years old, and this small little shrimp TJ is bullying me. He's just straight up like calling me names. He's making fun of my friend. I had some dorky friends, and because I'm a dork myself, and I think also some of these friends I had back in the day were like just nice people, and I wanted to be friends with nice people. And this kid in particular was like just kind of like an extra dorky kid, and he got picked on a lot. And this kid TJ was making fun of me for having this friend, and I had to defend my friend. And I remember when we had DARE class. I don't even know what DARE stands for, but I think we all have DARE. It's like the anti-drug system that was in our schools. That was probably the reason we all do drugs, and why we all love alcohol. I remember there was one week where he was taking forget the name. Oh, shit. Sorry, I just dropped something. I forget the name of that, the officer, like the liaison officer who just kind of hang around your school. And he, formed relationships with kids, and like everyone knew about him. And he would teach the DARE class. His name was Friend. And he was a great guy. And I always remember him being like a super great guy. And he was taking we could just put questions in a basket, and he would go through them and ask anonymous questions. And I put a question in the basket: how can I get people to stop making fun of my friend and me, and like they're teasing us and bullying us? And I just remember him, and I said, like, please don't read this out loud. And I signed my name, and I saw him read through a couple questions and then pick up mine, and then started to read and goes, oh wait, and read it through and goes, okay, and just pocketed it. And then he talked to me after class, and I forget what we talked about, but I remember him like doing his due diligence and just being a caring person. And I think it's I don't know how bad this bullying was. I know in some cases the bullying was bad, especially that some of my friends were getting, and I just hated to see them go through it and then feel helpless and also be a part of it. But I do remember reaching out to adults now and then to ask for help, and there's really only so much adults can do. I remember getting advice like don't react to it, it's just going to feed them, or tell them that they're hurting your feelings. I remember getting that advice a lot and being like, I don't know if that's going to go as well as you think it's going to go. I'm not going to tell these jerks that they're hurting my feelings. I think that's just ripe fruit for just more bullying. If I then explain to them that I have feelings. Gay was a big word back then. And if you start talking about feelings, that's just fodder for gay. And you don't really want to serve up a beach ball for them right over the middle of the plate. You can't admit to these people that you have feelings. If anything, you just have to find a way to not have them in your life and not be near them. And that was a big challenge because, as I explained, the bus and them being in classes with you, they were just around you all the time. And they're lonely and empty inside, and they need someone to pick on to fill the holes of their insecurities, and their parents didn't love them enough or give them enough attention, so here I am, this nice, sweet little boy who's not going to punch back, and it just, it's open season. I feel like I had another thought there, but that's fine. I don't have to finish that. So this is the episode. I think I'm just going to pop this right on YouTube. I might not even get fancy with the intro. Might do the intro music, I'm not even sure. That's just the part it's the one piece of editing I have to figure out here. And Me no good at it. And it's already late and I want to go to bed, so I might just pop this up on the YouTube there and call it a day. So, thanks for listening. This is one of those episodes that I'm going to finish and be like, was that okay? Just because I didn't even really plan on what I was going to talk about, and whatever. Enough qualifying it. I'm always qualifying it. How insecure can you be? This was a great episode. You're fucking welcome. There'll be another one next week. Tune in. I don't think you can tune. That's more for radio. Click it when it downloads onto the thing. I still don't know how it works. So thanks for listening. Thank you so much, YouTube. I have a cut on my finger. I just pointed at the camera. Thanks for watching if you watched. Hope this was interesting. There's a poem there that you're looking at. There's a glass by Leo something. It's terrible. There's a collage by my friend Leah. All the rest I think is me in this photo. Stuff that I've made. Yep. So check out the video on YouTube at Be a Man Pod on YouTube. That's our page. Rate us on Apple Podcasts. Email us beamanpod@gmail.com. Check out our Instagram page. Tell your closest loved ones about us. And thank you to the usual suspects: Seth Clayton, Christian Fackmeyer, Lyra Kim, and Fran Salas. Just beautiful dreamboats. Apple of my eyes. Both of them. And you're the wind beneath my wings and the sand beneath my toes, between my toes. And I really appreciate the support. And you can go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/beaman. There are a bunch of different tiers. You can get merch if you really are nasty. And I think I'm going to buy that merch so I can actually show people what it looks like. I'm pretty pumped about that. And go on patreon.com/beaman. It's a really cool thing. Really excited about that. We'll be putting these videos up there as we move along. So they'll be behind a paywall there. So why would you want to miss out on this? This is pretty sick. Anyway, thanks for listening. And you'll be hearing from me next week. Bye-bye. Be a Man is produced, designed, edited, and engineered by Jack Garrity. Music is composed by DJ Jazzy Juicy. Logo designed by Aiden Garrity. Nothing is copyrighted, but please don't steal anything.